Vladimir Pacheco.
Good afternoon. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the struggles that the National Table Against Metallic Mining in El Salvador is currently undertaking and has been taking since late 90s actually. But basically history is repeating itself in El Salvador. We have foreign companies taking resources out of the country and leaving us with not much. You know, a little bit of the history of El Salvador. After 12 years of civil war, the country was left with a lot of political scars. And normally, mining is seen in many places as a kind of an economic activity that is going to bring jobs. And indeed, in some of the areas in El Salvador where mining was going to occur, people were very happy to hear news that mining was going to install, that there were going to be mining operations there because of the jobs generation. But you know, I think that the problem is that there were more problems related with mining than there were benefits. The other thing too is that in a polarized society, both politically and economically, some of the benefits were going to benefit only some people and not everybody, and that's one of the main arguments. But there is another argument, and I will tell you a little bit about it later. Also, mining hasn't been such a very strong feature in the economic history of El Salvador. Agriculture has been much more important. Mining has been only a fraction of the contributor to the economy. So it has never featured very strongly. But since around 2000, we started to see mining companies coming into the country. The reason why these mining companies have come to El Salvador is because, for a number of reasons. One is that the price of minerals has gone through the roof. The price, a gram of gold, for instance, has been around $1,400 to $1,600. And so that makes it possible to use technologies, very expensive technologies, and go to very remote locations to extract that 1 ounce of gold to be able to export it to international markets at that price. If the price of gold were to go back to historic levels, which was $400, $800, many of the projects that you see around the world will not be happening, okay? So from around the year 2000, you start to see interest in mining in El Salvador. You see there some of the opposition to mining. It's not just a few people, actually, it's quite a few people. The opposition to mining, at the beginning, like I said to you, people thought that it was going to be all benefits and no problems. But thanks to the efforts of some organizations in El Salvador, they took some of the people from these communities to nearby Guatemala and Honduras to see the mines that had already been operating there, and they saw, to see firsthand what it was. And they saw that this is that there were a lot of problems. There were illnesses, there were richer people than others, and so they took those lessons and started to organize, and you see the example there. Also, La Mesa started to build an international alliance, and you can see some of the friends. There's quite a few. And this is where it comes to Australia, basically. For many years, the main players in the mining industry in El Salvador were Canadian and American. And so many of those companies, many of those allies that you see, La Mesa's allies, were based in the United States and in Canada. But as of last month, an Australian company, Oceania Gold, which is a medium-sized company, bought Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim owns one of the main projects in El Salvador, El Dorado. What we want to do now is to bring that struggle, all the fight that has been happening in the US and all the support, and bring it here. Because basically the focus of struggle moves from the United States to Australia, effectively, because the company is based in Melbourne. That's a map of some of the areas where one of the main mines is in Cabañas, and that's where the focus of a lot of the struggles are happening. The other issue that's been happening is that as a result of the pressure from La Mesa and a few others, El Salvador put a moratorium on mining. The companies that were affected then took El Salvador to court, and they are suing the government for $350 million. We're bringing this issue here to Australia because Australia is about to sign up the Trans-Pacific Alliance, which will mean that Australia is signing up exactly to the same kind of trade agreements that El Salvador did, which allows any company to sue the government for interfering with their operations. So if in the case of El Salvador, they decided to put a moratorium, the company took the government to court, and there is the possibility that they might win. Okay, the verdict is going to be handed down in February. One of the problems that we see with mining in El Salvador is the amount of water that it uses. Every day, the operations that El Dorado, for instance, uses 900,000 liters of water per day. A single family in El Salvador will take 30 years to consume that amount of water. You know that El Salvador is highly populated. So where is that water? Where is there going to be enough water for everybody? Is there going to be enough water for agriculture, which is one of the main mainstays of the Salvadorian economy? So, given all of those problems, we're completely against the mining industry. And what we're doing to raise awareness is bringing a speaker from La Mesa. She'll be here in, there's two events that are happening here in Brisbane, but there's also some events that are happening in Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, and Perth. You can contact me for those events. And also a plea for help. In Canberra, we don't have, Vidalina doesn't speak English, so we need translators. So if you know a Spanish speaker who is willing to translate for her while she is in Canberra, we welcome that help. Just contact me. Also accommodation. We don't have secure accommodation for her in Canberra. So if you know anybody who is willing to give us a helping hand, please do so. Also in Perth, if you know people who can attend the events, especially from the Latin American community, we'll highly appreciate it.